Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be back here in Amersfoort at the World Jazz Network, the World Jazz Conference, and the Amersfoort Jazz Festival. We're coming to you from the Webinary, fantastic studios here in Amersfoort, with my side kick, it's the kick, Ellister van der Molen, and Anita Verheggen from JazzNL and the World Jazz Network. An old friend. An old friend.
We are old friends.
In the end, we're all friends, aren't we?
We're all friends and we're all family.
Yes.
And I think that's what some of this discussion's about.
Yeah. We're a jazz family.
A jazz family. So you're the mama, you're the papa, and I'm the kid. Something like that.
If that's how you wish to see it,
Okay.
I will let you
complain.
You don't complain. So Anita, where did this all start, the World Jazz Network? Huh?
Oh, it must be about 10 years ago.
Okay.
That Alexander and me are working together for more than 20 years. So we work out new plans, new ideas, and it just organically happened. And first a bit smaller, but it's getting bigger all the time. And to reciprocate, that's a very important thing. In Holland, there is a subsidy for venues that invite foreign programmers, foreign venues, foreign festivals, but they are not obliged to book an artist when they come. So it's more like a paid holiday. And it's something that Dutch jazz musicians were really, they were annoyed about it because it never had good results. And that was at the starting point for us to start something where festivals had to book each other musicians. That you're obliged to do that. That it's important to have a beautiful network together, not just based on business, but based on friendship and on that we're having the same goal, that we love jazz and that we want to exchange our musicians. So that was behind the entire idea.
So actually it started all with frustration. That there is several countries who want to export what they have.
Yes.
But everybody is just sending and no one is receiving.
No one is receiving. And that's exactly...
For a market, that's not really working.
Exactly. And also there's short business contacts, not a real network. So it took years of building this network. You know all about it because you were also involved with building this network. But it started with frustration, but it worked out in a very positive way.
Yeah, we've been great beneficiaries of that reciprocity.
Yes.
But I think the reciprocity started with generosity.
Exactly.
And we're talking about the World Jazz Network, but
yes.
That generosity started from JazzNL.
Yes, that's right.
How did that all come about? How old is JazzNL? And what happened that it became this World Jazz Network?
Something you're talking, it's your experience in the market. You see what is happening, and we wanted to do something about employment of the jazz musicians, also internationally, but also that musicians get a fair pay.
Oh.
Because that's always a problem. And I'm working for the Dutch Musicians Union. That's a very, hot item, fair pay and fair practice. But I'm also on the board of the Neighboring Rights Society, and they have subsidies for musicians. It's money from the musicians used to create employment, fair practice employment for musicians all over the world. When Dutch musicians go this whole thing is subsidized by the Neighboring Rights Society, but actually it's subsidized by the musicians themselves, because they donate a part of their neighboring rights to this, to realize this goal. So that's Alexander and me. We work in a lot of boards, and we thought we've got the means to create something, and that's how it started. And we just used the possibilities.
And where did you find the partners?
You mean the festivals?
Yeah. Well, how did you find Andre?
That's typically that's typically Alexander. He is a pioneer. So he's a musician, and he is very good in making new contacts and have a good relationship, build a good relationship. So I think he found you somehow.
Yeah.
Or did you find him?
We found each other.
Okay.
I think that's what jazz artists are. They find each other.
Yes.
It was so funny yesterday at the conference. Everyone was saying Alexander the Great.
Yes.
Alexander the Great, yes. That's fantastic.
And I think Alexander first came to South Africa for a series of workshops and some performances with Professor Kerendra de Vroep.
Yeah.
And then Kerendra and Alex said, come, let's talk. And then we started talking.
Yeah.
Alex is very intense. I don't know if it's Alexander the Great or Alexander the Guru.
Alexander the Intense.
Yeah. And I'm sure he's going to be listening to this intensely.
Yeah.
So the great Guru, Intense Alexander, I think he looked around and saw who can we build with, who can we work with. And I came over for the first time, I think in 2012, 2013, 2014.
So then you see how long we are already working on the network.
And then it was, we came with artists, and the idea was not just to come, but then Alex came back with some artists, and then we came back with some artists. And I think that reciprocity, which is a big word, it kind of grew in terms of, if I'm coming to your house, you must come to my house.
My house, exactly.
If I entertain you at my house, you do the same at your house.
Yeah.
So there's a level of how do we respectfully engage with each other. And I think it started with Dutch generosity.
Yes.
And
And the generosity of the jazz musicians and all the musicians that are contributing this money from the Neighboring Rights Society. I'm really grateful that they want to do that. And
we are really grateful. I think it's now more than 20 artists in almost a decade.
Yes.
Barring this COVID period. But coming back, Ellister, that frustration that she spoke about, you an artist as well, not just a presenter and the sidekick. Were you also frustrated in terms of the lack of reciprocity, in terms of touring opportunities?
In some sense, I have, for instance, I have been to JazzNL, which is the major international network place in Western Europe. There's a lot of people coming there. And there is this idea that every country has their own stand and export office, and everybody has their happy hour where there's a lot of alcohol involved. And that's the way to get people to your stand. But actually the payoff of being there, it's very hard to get something done.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people who go there, who have a lot of fun. They get free CDs, they get free alcohol. There's also for journalists, there's a lot to get. But the real result is not that easy. And you have to be really quick in making contact. And it's a hard place. It's a very hard place.
It's a hustle.
Yeah. But all those kind of fairs, or music fairs, are happening all over the world. And there's not a durable network, where people really get to know each other and work together. So this is really a different model, and I think it's revolutionary in that sense. The big performing art fund in Holland is paying for people to come over here, but they have no obligations whatsoever to book an artist. And we do something completely different, and it works out. So I think that people should adopt this model all over the world. That would be great.
How has the model worked out for Amersfoort, for you as an artist, and for JazzNL? How do you think this world jazz model has worked out, and what you're doing in terms of fostering this collaboration?
I think it makes for a group of people to be honestly interested in concerts that are happening. Every festival director takes someone that he or she really trusts and says, you really should check this out. So everybody has an endorsed talent. And I think it really brings a lot of openness to the market, and everybody has something to present and something to choose.
Yeah.
Anita, a question for you. COVID made the world much smaller and much more insular.
Yeah.
You remember we did that online conference in November 2020, and we all were stuck at home and trying to figure
with
out.
a thunderstorm.
Yes, lightning, thunder, but nothing was going to stop us from doing a studio in Joburg, a studio in Amersfoort.
Yeah.
And we tried to make the world a bit more open, even in an cyberspace online.
Yes.
But and then COVID's going and gone.
Yeah.
And then we have the war in Ukraine, and it also seems to have been making the world smaller.
Yeah.
What role do you think something like the World Jazz Network can play in opening up the world a little bit more?
Well, we have organizers from the Ukraine here and from Russia. So they want to do something for the people in Ukraine. The international contacts for peaceful cooperation are very important, I think. And music is a universal language. So all the festivals that I met here, that we have immediate contact because we have a universal language. And I think that's very important. We can give a good example. And it's something that gives you energy, positive energy. And the musicians, they get the possibility to play all over the world and bring their message to other countries. So I think we can play a good role.
Really bring world peace. That's not the case.
No, absolutely not.
But on our level, we can make sure that we are about the things that we are about, which is music.
Yeah.
And music brings people together. And I can never hate someone when it's on a love level. And, music is about love.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that we should keep in mind, and that's what we bring to people.
Yeah.
Drawing this conversation to a close, if music is a language, I think we agree on that.
Yes.
And jazz seems to be a dialect of that language. Why is jazz the preferred dialect in a space like this? And why is it a better dialect than other dialects of music?
It's just my preferred dialect. And it's the one that's most open to me and most communicative to me, because you can really interact with each other. And I think to me that's one thing that works very liberating. I wouldn't say it's necessarily better. It's just more my thing.
And on that jazz note, thank you, Anita, for this lovely interview.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Side
Thank you, Andre.
Dish.